Caught myself getting defensive about ideas I didn't even come up with, and so now I present to you the concept of the plagiarizing ego. My friend Mark and I were going to hang new doors in a house the other day, and I suggested we each watch a different video to gather some tips that might make things go smoother for us. So we sat on opposite ends of the room, pulled out our phones, typed a search, and each watched the first video it fed us. 10 minutes later, when we put the phones away and went to start the door together, a funny thing happened. Everywhere the order of operations differed or the techniques clashed, we found ourselves arguing in favor of the video we watched. My guy does it this special way, and I think that's a clever method. Yeah, well, my guy said we need to do this first, or we'll mess that up. In part, I assume there's something to do with the fact that I learned all the detailed reasons for the techniques in the video I watched, but was only hearing from Mark the summarized techniques from the video he watched, and vice versa. Yet when we started exchanging the reasons behind the tips, we still kind of bumped heads about the best way to hang a door. There's some weird intransigent favoritism of acquired knowledge. Almost like a particular neuronal sequence gains a monopoly that won't allow any competing sequences. When I heard a cephalopod expert say the correct plural of octopus is octopuses, I narrowed my eyes and flared my nostrils in disgust, refusing to accept such lowbrow caveman nonsense. Amongst us intelligentsia, the word should most obviously be octopi. That's her field of expertise, but I had to push back and check the word origin. Turns out it's from Greek, not Latin, so there's no justification for octopi. Not really one for octopuses either, because the Greek plural is octopodes. But English, being its own language, can shape the plural according to its own rules. Except they decided to spell it octopuses instead of sses, so it should be pronounced octopuses, which is extra stupid. This is all because I mistakenly assumed octopi since childhood, and thought I was brilliant for figuring it out without being told. If I'd just learned octopuses from the get-go, I'd get all smug and correct everyone saying octopi. But this door-hanging stuff was brand new to me, not some lifelong cherished belief. Is 15 minutes of seniority enough to justify preferential treatment of one set of information over another? I doubt it. I think it's more of an ego thing. Let's say we decided to watch 2 videos each, and had no idea what videos the other person would be watching. If I watched video A, then video B, and he watched video B, then video A, I don't think we'd necessarily have been going to bat for everything in our respective first video, and nothing in the second. But if I watched video A at random, he watched B at random, we argued a little, and then we said, just watch the one I watched, you'll get it, and then exchanged links, I suspect we'd still hold the first video we watched in higher regard, even though it was merely the first thing handed to us by the platform's algorithm. Not something we'd decided through careful deliberation would be the best one to watch. Why do we defend our positions? If you came up with an idea on your own, and especially if it came as a huge epiphany that solved a long-standing difficult puzzle for you, it's not irrational for you to take a little pride in the victory, consider it a proof and measure of your intellect, and allow it as a source of self-confidence. From there, attacks on the idea can easily be interpreted as attempts to disprove your intelligence and dismantle your self-confidence, and such an interpretation might incline one to mount a defensive response. And since a good offense is sometimes the most effective defense, a lot of people lash out when their pet theories are challenged. Even if they didn't come up with the idea themselves, but merely read it somewhere, or watched a video, their acceptance symbolizes their ability to judge. If I was wrong, if I was duped by a dumb idea, then I'm even dumber than the dumb guy who came up with it, and should no longer trust my own judgment. Therefore, in the name of morale, one often swears fealty to an idea merely stumbled upon. What this tells me is that for many people, self-trust is more important than truth. Maximum truth-seeking would welcome every storm, as a means to test the quality of the build. But then, wouldn't such tests, if passed, increase confidence in the theory and thus in its formulator? Is it perhaps a paucity of self-trust, an insecurity alarm that summons emergency protective measures to retain what little is had? The presence of confidence in the theory would surely cause one to revel more in opportunities to withstand attack and prove one's brilliance. And with or without certainty in a theory, the presence of the theorist's confidence in himself and his own abilities would not flinch at the thought of having to rebuild, or at navigating tomorrow with a less complete map, but would rather delight in the possibility of being proved wrong because it represents potential to know something truer than he knows today. Does intellectual humility dampen the spirit and bring a feeling of insignificance? A lot of people intuitively behave like that's the case, even if they never admit it or consciously think it. I think it's just a bad framework. The proud mind and the humble mind pale before the mind that focuses entirely on the mission, without regard for itself. The truth, infinitely far away, can never be reached, only approximated, and there's always a way to get closer. Be willing to make use of all ideas, cling to none, and stay thirsty, my friends. Hey guys, quick note before I go. I know some of these podcast topics are a little goofy, so if you like the way I think, but you really want to take advantage of the best of what my brain has to offer, look up my books on Amazon or Audible. My first book, Augmenting Willpower, is a field manual for human psychology that emphasizes personal accountability, while my second book, An Idea is Not a Product, is a guide for building routines and systems that force you to put your money where your mouth is. Both titles are available in all formats, so you can listen to the audio on the go, easily search topics by keyword in the ebook, and the paperback fits right in your pocket.